against the Jazz have been fantastic. That is our doubleheader coming your way after SportsCenter.
Jimmy Butler has made a career out of exceeding expectations. Often underestimated, he and his teams have had a knack for proving doubters wrong. Case in point, seen as an also-ran when last season's playoffs began, Butler and his Heat made an improbable run to the NBA Finals. Yet the doubt about this star and his team have crept back again this season because if the playoffs started today, let's face it, the Heat would be on the outside looking in. Stephen A. Smith has more.
It was supposed to be the dawn of a new day, an introduction to a new era that wouldn't include the likes of LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, or Chris Bosh. Yet one folks salivated over simply because the overseer of this franchise on the come-up was an old familiar face, extremely accustomed to winning championships, Mr. Pat Riley.
Miami's improbable run will continue. The Heat are going back to the NBA Finals.
The Miami Heat were back, albeit they were being led by an unsung hero in the ultimate culture builder named Jimmy Butler instead of the usual headliners associated with Riles like Magic, LeBron, and D-Wade. Riles was back, and it was just the beginning, or so we thought.
If I'm Miami, I'm disappointed. To be a team that has a long run in the playoffs, you have to take care of your business.
As of right now, some folks in the basketball world, at least a portion of it that had the Miami Heat pinned as the franchise of the future, are looking like absolute fools at the moment. Jimmy Butler is still damn good, but just getting it together since being sidelined due to COVID protocols. Tyler Hero hasn't been himself all season, shooting just 33% from three-point range. Goran Dragic looks just average, and perhaps worst of all, while the Heat have slid, a few other teams in the East have ascended.
Embiid, top of the key, three. High-arcing shot is good. Hands in the air for Joel Embiid.
Doc Rivers has the 76ers as the number one seed in the East at the moment. The Brooklyn Nets, despite their defensive woes, still are a top two seed in the East with Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving not even playing that much together as of yet. So they are coming. Milwaukee with Giannis isn't going away so easily. But here's the thing. No one in the East can be dismissed by Miami, considering how the Heat have looked this season.
0 for 5 from the field in overtime. That's an 0-no step.
They're one of the worst offensive teams in the league right now, clearly looking to be saved.
We know when adversity hits, we're supposed to be better. We're supposed to get better. We will get back to it, though. I promise you that. We will.
In the past, there was Alonzo Mourning and Tim Hardaway, or LeBron and D-Wade. But who's it going to be this time? Back in October, during the NBA Finals, we were all sure it was going to be Jimmy Butler.
Butler at the elbow, the jump shot.
Jimmy Butler does it again.
No one knows anymore, especially now that Giannis has elected to stay in Milwaukee instead of becoming a free agent scheduled to arrive in Miami one day. So where do the Heat go from here? What does the future hold for this franchise? Inquiring minds wanted to know before the season began. Now, we're hard-pressed to find anyone who even cares.
You want more Stephen A? You got it. Check out Stephen A's World, streaming daily on ESPN+.
Well, this just into SportsCenter. Here's video of Ben Simmons arriving, getting ready for the Sixers-Bulls game. But like we saw Wednesday, did the same thing. He arrived and then sat the game out with a stomach illness. He's doing the same thing. Out tonight again with an illness. Sixers face the Bulls tonight on ESPN. And NBA Countdown's Jay Williams joining us now on SportsCenter. And now that means with no Simmons, it goes all the way back to Joel Embiid. And the man can carry a team. We have seen that all season. But when we saw him on Wednesday, 37 minutes, 31 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists. The one thing that stood out, though, he didn't look right. That back looked really sore and tight. If you're Doc Rivers, how would you use Embiid here before the All-Star break?
Well, look, Kevin, injury is something that's always going to follow Joel Embiid. It feels like every year we're talking about him having a potential injury or how do you manage that injury. So I think for Doc Rivers right now, this is when you have to trust in your player. If you see signs of fatigue or signs of that injury lingering, then you have to kind of draw back on those minutes. You have to, hey, let me put my foot on the pedal for a minute on the brakes calm down a little bit and limit his minutes. You have to think long-term with Philadelphia. And right now, look, they're playing phenomenal basketball at the top of the Eastern Conference, excuse me. You let it flow, because the main thing is you want Joel Embiid to be healthy when you go into the final stretch. Do not get it twisted. Guys like Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid, guys who have injuries that you're trying to figure out how to manage, as long as they're healthy down the stretch and your team stays in a top seed position, that's all that matters, considering everything that you have to deal with this year.
That is the key, yes, long-term, not a night in February here. But there is some concern in February surrounding another top team in the East, and that is the Bucks. They lost their 5th straight game. I'm going to quote Giannis after the game last night. You can turn the other way and just go home and quit, or you've just got to keep fighting. What's wrong with Milwaukee right now, Jay?
Well, look, Drew Holiday's been out for a while. And Drew Holiday could be that one missing link for this team. But inevitably, Kev, I've said this multiple times. I don't know if Drew Holiday helps his team get over the hump. This is the same team from last year. And the biggest question is going to come. I know they're trying to implement a new offensive style. But this year will be a huge year for Coach Bud. Either he will get the job done and he will get out of the second round of the playoffs into the Eastern Conference Finals, or I think you will see a new head coach for the Milwaukee Bucks this year. Look, you have to make wrinkles. We question whether Chris Middleton is the guy. He can be the guy, but the scouting report, the blueprint is out on Giannis. Right? So now it comes down to the table. Can Drew Holiday be the missing link? I think he can down the stretch for them to score from the point guard position, but ultimately, is this enough to surround Giannis with? I don't think so. I think Brooklyn is still a favorite. I think Philadelphia is in a better position. I think Milwaukee will be there, but I still think it will be an early exit for them as well.
Okay, we will see if the Bucks can stop that slide tonight. They face the Thunder. Much more from Jay Williams in that great jacket. Top of the hour, that is NBA Countdown.
Okay, Kevin, we're following a developing story. Lakers star forward Anthony Davis will now be out 4 weeks after team doctors reevaluated his injury situation last night. Davis has a calf strain and Achilles tendonitis. He will not return until after the All-Star game, which puts it at sometime in the middle of March. Now, even though Davis will be out for a month, the Lakers are right at the top with the Jazz in the West to make the playoffs, according to BPI. 6 teams have a better than 85% chance, with the Blazers and the Mavericks at 7 and 8 below that mark. Remember, there's going to be a play-in tournament involving teams seeded 7 through 10. Here's Royce Young with more on the Jazz.
Over the past 40 days, the Jazz have transformed into an unlikely NBA juggernaut.
Oh, Donovan Mitchell! Oh, boy, Rudy Gobert! Acted on Giannis! Wow!
They have won 20 of their last 21 games and have done it with historic superiority, becoming the first team to ever record 18 wins by 10 or more points in a 21-game span. The question is, how did they do it?
Whoa, let me back up for a minute.
Donovan Mitchell tracked it back to the confidence the team built in the bubble, pushing the Nuggets to 7 games and falling an in-and-out 3 away from advancing.
This ain't the end. This is just the beginning.
But they also have unique stability and consistency. 92% of their minutes have come from players on the team last season. They have only used 3 different starting combinations, tied with the Bucks for the fewest in the league. And their primary lineup, Mike Conley, Bojan Bogdanovic, Rudy Gobert, Royce O'Neal, and Mitchell, have played 282 minutes together this season, outscoring opponents by 103 points, the best of any 5-man group this season. And on top of it, Jordan Clarkson is a clear leading candidate for 6th Man of the Year, playing the best basketball of his career. The Jazz identity is one built on the defensive anchoring of Gobert.
All defense, let's go.
And Mitchell has affirmed himself as a reliable star, elevating into the MVP conversation. They played together, evidenced by a game in which they had 4 players score at least 25, leaning on ball movement, ball reversals, and dead-eye shooting. They call it the blender in Utah, when the ball starts zipping all over the floor and opposing defenses get twisted into knots trying to follow it.
Spectacular ball movement by Utah.
They're averaging almost 18 threes a game in this 21-game run, and it's because they generate so many wide-open looks. According to Second Spectrum, The Jazz averaged 22 wide-open three-point tries a game since January 8th, most in the league.
It's a clinic that the Jazz are putting on right now.
Despite their dominance, there seems to remain a level of skepticism about how good the Jazz really are. Maybe because of their past playoff failures, or maybe it's small market perception. But none of that is their concern. For the Jazz, it's just on to the next one.
And they are rolling right now. For more, let's bring in NBA Countdown's Paul Pierce. So, Paul, with the Jazz on an absolute tear and the uncertainty surrounding Anthony Davis, how do you view at the top of the West?
You got to put Utah right up there, and there's major concern, especially if Anthony Davis is hurt. I don't know, how he's going to be when he comes back, but Utah has to be taken serious. I mean, the things that you're seeing out there from them defensively, they play team basketball. They move the ball. They shoot the three well. They're well coached. You have to take these guys serious. There's nothing more you can say. Look what they're doing out here on a night-in, night-out basis. And Donovan Mitchell has proven that he's a superstar. I think Shaq might have woke him up because he's here. He's a superstar.
Yeah, with those comments he made about him, Donovan Mitchell's been on a tear since then. Now, I want to talk to you about the Blazers, okay? They're currently fourth in the West, thanks primarily to the play of Damian Lillard. So despite that, Lillard won't be an all-star game starter. Among backcourt players, Steph Curry ran away with the top spot among the fans, media, and players voting. Luka Doncic and Lillard came in tied for second, but the fans are the tiebreaker. They decide the starters, so Doncic got more